right in.
And in the bottom right, in the blue, from South Korea, playing ORC, give it up for FoCuS.
Let's go, everybody, FoCuS! And in the top left of ToD Hunters here, we have Starbuck, the multiple race player, the human main as well. Give it up for Starbuck from Slovenia. And ToD, I don't know about you, but I'm super stoked to see a Mountain King first come out of Starbuck right now.
Yeah, especially with a bit of a greedier creep route, kind of hoping that maybe the FoCuS wasn't going to show up in the correct spot first and foremost, but FoCuS, he's headed there. Starbuck told me that against Hitman he did that really well. There was one of the maps where he went for the lab and he told me he lost 0 peasants. He was very happy about it, so unfortunately here it looks like he's gonna lose 1 already, but as long as he secures the golem plus the item, he needs to get the experience though. Ooh. He goes to the mountain, he gets level 2 instantly, and Boots of Quartalas as well.
I think we can say Boots of Quartalas, definitely not the best drop, and 2 peasants go down as well for Starbuck, but I'm smelling a tier 1 expansion, and I think a couple of peasant losses at this stage is acceptable if that's the game plan for Starbuck.
Not the best drop, but when you have bash, like somewhat decent, you're going to be bashing a whole lot more.
Oh, there's one.
Oh my god,
that surround immediately. What a beautiful mechanics by Starbuck to get the immediate bash and then to surround straight away. Beautifully done. Is he going to set up a second surround in quick succession, ToD?
I don't think so, because he bolted a little early, but he bashes again. Oh my god. This Mountain King's on steroids.
Is this the PTR bash already, ToD? Do you think?
It looks like it. Imagine on the PTR what it would look like.
In the meantime here, FoCuS, he's teching up already, of course, producing more and more headhunters. He feels like he needs to apply pressure here in the early game. Scouting with the Wolves, seeing that there's already an Arcane Tower in the main, and of course, Starbuck is still in tier 1 as well.
Oh, Footman's about to die. And that was the previous game.
There we are. In any case, Starbuck here, he built the 4th farm. That indicates clearly that he will be attempting that tier 1 expansion. The question is where? I feel like the immediate expansion here would be, the expansion of the orange camp would be pretty tough. And it's interesting to see Starbuck take his time here. This expo is getting a little bit later and later, waiting for the Boots of Speed perhaps to come up.
Yeah, this is super delayed. It's very risky to keep on making a lot of headhunters, by the way, against this, because they're so squishy. So 1 bolt is going to equal 1 kill every single time, especially as we reach level 3 here sometime soon. He's already 2.2. Fast here, only 1.3, ways off from that level 2 here. Starts to work on one of the peasants. Then one of those peasants is coming here on peasant form.
Yeah, he's bringing the lumber to set down the foundations of that town hall early, I think.
We need the Hulk, we don't need Bruce Banner.
Well, speaking of the Hulk here, I think the Mountain King's a pretty suitable candidate, getting the surround immediately on that FoCuS. Forced into the TP straight away is FoCuS, and I think Starbuck here could be pretty happy with the way this game's going.
He's so on point with the surrounds.
Yep.
He can almost feel the bashes coming as well, apparently, because those were so clutch over and over, and now the expansion is going up. He's 2.8. On the other side, we already used Town Portal, so that's going to be one escape that's missing potentially in the upcoming skirmishes.
Yeah, FoCuS rebuying that speed scroll there, of course, that will be absolutely essential to attempt to get away from the Mountain King if necessary. The MK, of course, decide to get the boots. We've got a nice little cutes around here with the Footman, but the resummon is coming out of FoCuS. He is already starting on his next camp, so that thankfully didn't go to waste. And I think, you know, despite how solidly Starbuck has played so far, I feel like he needs to put some pressure onto the base right now of FoCuS, because his tech will be quite late compared to usual. And we see the Beastry is put in a bit of a strange position here.
Yeah, it's very far forward here. That's actually going to go down here. Very nice snipe by Starbuck, that's level 3, the Spion.
Oh my god, the bash again, ToD is
and he gets it.
Bash coming in clutch and securing the level 3 right now for the Mountain King. And there's the Torrent Totem finally coming up in the back.
FoCuS has 3 headhunters. He's lost everything that he's ever had this game, and he's up against a player who has fast expansion. Starbuck looking absolutely amazing right now.
Yeah, the wolves here as well being sent into the peasant line, not going to do too much. We can see the arcane tower is finishing momentarily. And FoCuS is losing track here a little bit of the multitasking. Perhaps in the far stage just gets close in the surround. Desperate stomp, honestly, coming out of the Torrent Chieftain
and he
right
can't
now.
afford TP, so he uses a potion, but now that's going to be on cooldown. One more bolt before the Temple of the Mountain King. He's going to get the Farseer.
This is getting so close here, ToD, because the Mountain King will be forced into TP, but the Farseer goes down.
And he gets away as well. No Temple is forced from FoCuS on Starbuck. Peace. I'll be back.
Man, Starbuck here, just sensing when the timing was right. You know, he kept up the pressure, even though he wasn't quite level 3, which I know is something you like to preach a lot, ToD, in your games. But at the end of the day, the timing was right. You know, the Beastery maybe a bit mispositioned there, and it was an easy cancel, and then FoCuS just losing track of the Farseer for a second. Easy snipes, and then that's it. The Farseer is benched. FoCuS here feels like he's lost momentum a lot.
FoCuS, he's lost momentum. He's getting bullied, bro. He's stuck at home. He's gotten locked in. There is a barricade outside his house. He's not allowed to leave.
It's like when Happy set up the towers outside of that elf base. He's like, you cannot leave. You're in quarantine.
Yeah, except Happy quarantines heroes inside of the altar.
True.
He's next level. At least FoCuS is still alive somewhat inside of his base. But yeah, now he will go back to creeping. And Starbuck is still keeping his units out on the map. He really wants to not give any air to FoCuS, not give him any momentum in this game here. And Mountain King's almost back out there.
This is superbly played so far. I think Starbuck knows that the Ensnarer is not available yet. You know, he is an expert human player himself. And we see, I think, 2 more Headhunters are going to go down here. The Creeps may potentially be getting involved. Yes, 1 Headhunter goes down to the Creeps, and of course, Starbuck getting another Headhunter kill. And potentially a 3rd will go down as well. I think this is a disastrous game here for FoCuS right now. Oh, the Farseer as well.
Nah, he doesn't have any more mana.
Yeah, okay.
He's not allowing him to have any Headhunters. They've gone extinct in this game. And I think it might be a good idea to stop making them. I mentioned it earlier, like, they're so squishy against Mountain King level 3, it's a done deal. They're just gonna go down left and right. And this has been the ultimate snowball by Starbuck here. Start to finish so far.
Yeah, I feel like when the early game goes a bit poorly for the Orc, it's time to just cut out the Headhunters against Mountain King. I don't really see the reason to continue building them.
Oh my god, a critter.
Wait, that's the... Oh my god, it is the mechanical
It's the
critter.
skink.
The famous skink. Do you know what noise it makes?
Dude. Do it.
It's some horrendous noise like...
That's exactly what it sounds like. Dude, he's gonna scout perfectly with it. Look at the speed of that thing.
Oh my god. This is a first for me, seeing this on stage here. A mechanical critter scout is going to confirm that FoCuS is going for a tier 2 expansion. I didn't realize they were that fast.
No, it might be just a skink. Does he kill it? Dude, Max Verstappen is driving that thing. Look at this.
Yeah, Louis Hamilton is piloting that skink right now and confirms the location of that tier 2 expansion. And I love the Archmage second pick. It's quite tempting nowadays to go for Paladin second. We saw that a lot, even potentially Blood Mage.
Yeah.
But Archmage enables human to go casters. And casters are amazing against Orc. Mass Sorceress especially, with the Breaker frontline, is super strong. And Blizzard Clap potential retrain in the late game is amazing.
If you don't go casters, then it's okay to skip the Archmage. But if you go casters, you kind of have to get it for sure.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, and it's usually if you don't go casters, you go air. That's it. There's no other strategy. There's like no Knight Mortar, you know, that would make no sense. But yeah, one of the Sanctums actually gets cancelled here. And on the other side, Starbuck putting in work. He only has 1 Guard Tower on top of the Arcane here. He's staffing back. Wow, pretty ambitious. This Mountain King fares truly nothing. But FoCuS, this is a strong timing of his here because he has Spirit Link. And right now there is only Footmen to face him, but we see a Rifle in production and a Sanctum.
Yeah, actually, that's double barracks as well. We can see 2 riflemen coming out at the same time here. So double barracks, double sanctum? That seems maybe a little bit ambitious from Starbuck. Maybe he could have just started the rifle production as soon as possible. And we see the blacksmith being targeted quite a bit here. I don't think that's really the best idea from FoCuS. He's losing a raider.
The police is coming in.
Here come the boys!
Maybe
the
the
stock to lead
TC.
that in there.
He has a lot of units around the TC, but he really wants to kill all the units, and he's cleaning up right now. Starbuck has killed so many of the units.
Oh, the peasants are
FoCuS almost get the Torrent Chieftain, but he breaks out.
Oh, this is getting closer. The Mountain King, he has those boots, of course, and there's 2 storm bolts available, but I think the units, you know, the militia timers ran out. A little bit of a random bolt there, has to be said. Perhaps it's just like, you know, get out of my lawn.
That's a screw you bolt right there. Get out of there.
Absolutely. But FoCuS, you know, he has managed to get a bunch of levels. Torrent Chieftain is going to get level 3. Shop Control is there as well, so Invo Potion will almost definitely be picked up, potentially a Scroll as well. But Starbuck, you know, he's leveled up already to level 4 Mountain King. The Archmage did go for Elementals first, which is interesting. I think sometimes with the Archmage second, you maybe go Aura first and then Blizzard immediately. I don't know about you. But that option is always there. But the big mana from the marketplace, ToD, that's going to be clutch.
The happy DLC has been enabled.
You think he paid a premium price for that one, right?
He's just a lucky human.
Unlike some other humans.
Yeah, definitely. And it's going to be another cancel here. Even just getting the cancel and TPing out would be fine, but I think he might even just take the fight for a little bit. I don't think he should have bolted the TC, maybe gone for units instead. Yeah, he's just going to TP. I think he can tell it. He's not going to kill much more. So he loses 2 units. Maybe the TP could have been a bit earlier, but I mean, getting a cancel right now when you have Expo running this whole time is just a dream scenario anyway.
Yeah, I think 7 food is maybe a little bit more than expected. I would have liked to see fewer losses from Starbuck's side, but it's not too bad at the end of the day, and the Orc is kept on 1 base economy for this entire time. Of course, Starbuck here has finally got up to 50 food. We have Breaker production, and the Long Rifles upgrade, of course, as well, to help deal with the Kodos especially. And FoCuS, I mean, he's just going to have to keep retrying to put the expansion down and put the pressure on. And I was saying in a few other series, I like when Orcs go Shockwave a lot. I feel like the base pressure is something that really keeps humans at bay.
Yeah.
But perhaps the timing was too late to abuse that level 2 Shockwave.
The big problem for FoCuS is he has no mana regen. He can't really afford to go home to use double clarity. So with his mana being so low on both heroes here when he fights, he's just going to have no potential to actually do anything really good. I don't even know why he's trying to push. Like, Militia would absolutely wreck him here in the fight.
Yeah, perhaps FoCuS is just posturing. Perhaps
he's puffing his chest out.
Yes, exactly. I think perhaps FoCuS is just content with his levels. He just wants the Expo to come up at all costs and make sure that Starbuck just doesn't walk across again and cancel it, because Starbuck did indeed buy the TP. We can see something in the meantime is actually attacking the Orc counter expansion. I'm not too sure what. Maybe an Elemental was sent across from the Archmage?
Must have been a Water Elemental, because I think it just expired. TC going in, gets bolted instantly. He has 0 survivability item on the TC, so that guy will melt if he was to come back in to try and stomp again. He has no mana anyway. He gets targeted. Spirit Link doing work. This piece rolls away. Starbuck with the block. He's about to have a Snowbolt. He gets ensnared, and he gets away.
An absolutely clutch ensnare right there on the Mountain King, preventing the hero FoCuS, finishing off that Torn Chieftain, but the bulk goes on the Kodo anyway, which is a pretty big loss for FoCuS. But it did buy time for the expansion, but I'm not sure the losses are worth it. That Stormbolt probably takes out the Ethereal Form Walker. Oh, he's going for the Grunt instead. Okay, maybe unsure if that would be a one-shot, one-kill.
Yeah, taking the Grunts out is really good because they are the only unit that does somewhat decent against Breakers. He's going to get it anyway. Oh, goes for another Grunt.
Well, you see that he definitely has that on his mind as well, so you guys are thinking the same. Definitely take out the Grunts so that the Breakers can reign as supreme as possible, and who cares about one Walker, I guess.
Yeah. TC!
Oh, nice dodge. Beautiful dodge coming out of FoCuS right now. Absolutely essential. We don't have the heal salve running in the meantime, though, which is a little bit tricky. And yeah, it just feels like FoCuS here. He's just on the retreat. Another Stormbolt flying out as well. Of course, the greater mana there coming in full effect for Starbuck.
Big supply lead. Mountain King level 4.4 now. Starbuck on the rampage. He's on the warpath here. Hunting down FoCuS around the map. Kodo about to go down. Wolves at the back. He has no more priests. He needs to replace a couple of his casters. Some priests, some sorceresses would be helpful. A rifle is going to go down. FoCuS somehow trying to salvage this as much as possible. And the Expo just finished, so he can start mining from this here.
Dude, Starbuck is getting so many bashes off to the side. I was seeing the Kodo just get constantly bashed, and Starbuck managed to reclaim his rifle that was from the belly of that Kodo beast. The TC far in front again. A little bit of a risky situation. Doesn't have any survivability once again. More production is coming for Starbuck. He's got the Adept training and more rifles and another priest. And of course the Breakers are an amazing counter to the Spirit Walkers here, getting rid of that Spirit Link and stealing it for the human army.
Yeah, that's actually amazing when he can do that. Archmage almost level 3 here. Curious whether he's going to go Brilliance level 2 or Water Elementals. If there is not many Walkers, I think going Water Elemental can be okay, but Brilliance always great to have just more Stoneball to work with and more mana on his casters. And I like that he goes for a camp here. I think even though he knows that the expansion of FoCuS is running by now, it's really about building big supply a little more and hitting those very important levels of 5 and 3, which he's going to get, looks like.
Actually, Starbuck choosing to go for level 2 Water Elemental, I personally don't agree with that choice. I would have loved to have seen a Clap retrain and get the level 2 aura unlocked for the Mountain King, but perhaps Starbuck is confident enough and he can keep the Walker army down as much as possible. We see there's not really much for FoCuS, especially
maybe he feels
rushed.
I think he feels rushed. He feels like he has to go right now. Like you give a player like FoCuS even 30 seconds, he can come back sometimes in this type of game. So.
Well, we have another fight engaging right here. Immediate Stormbolt onto the TC who gets surrounded. I think an item may have to be transferred. There's nothing to transfer. There's only one potion available, which gets popped immediately. The speed scroll also as well. Breaker's getting taken out a little bit here by the wolves, which are pretty strong. It's a pretty chaotic fight here right now. We have fighting on all fronts.
Yeah. Great micro by FoCuS. He went for the backline and the casters with the Raiders. That's what they do the most damage to. But now Mountain King is level 5. He still has mana to work with. He has an escape with a town portal. That's more than FoCuS can say about this fight here. He has no escape himself, no survivability, and the FoCuS is next. He's not even moving.
The FoCuS is next on the menu right now, ToD. He has absolutely no chance of getting out, not even needing the level 3 bolt to secure the kill, and now the TC is next on the menu. Oh, this is looking so tough for FoCuS right now. There's a lot of low units on the side of Starbuck, though, it has to be said. And the Orc army, you know, it is quite bulky. We see a lot of grunts here. They're actually standing strong. The breakers are getting pretty low.
Yeah, I think maybe the single target fire was a little overdone here, but with the heal scroll, Starbuck should be fine. There might not be one available because I don't see him buying one, so I think the TC stole it just a second ago. And he forces the temple. Oh my god, how did FoCuS stay alive? I thought this was truly over ages ago. And now he has a high grunt count against that many breakers. I feel like Starbuck's missing 2-3 sorceresses to really slow everything here.
Yeah, I think the caster backline just isn't strong enough. We saw a lot of riflemen, which are obviously decent in high DPS.
Maybe retrain.
Yeah, I think the clap retrain is sorely missing right now, especially against grunts. The Mountain King is going to get right in there. Please be a total retrain. Let's go.
Are you ready?
I'm hoping for it. That's what I'm hoping to see right now.
I thought maybe FoCuS bought it and then sold it to not allow the MK to do it, but I don't think it did. All right, here we go. Shop at the expo for extra mana potions. It's clap time.
It's clap time, baby. And we also got level 2 Brilliance Aura unlocked as well, so that Mountain King is going to be topped off at all times. But the TC is not to be underestimated right now, who is level 5 as well, and we know how deadly that level 3 Warstorm can be in combat. Oh, a Zeppelin purchase as well. I think FoCuS knows that there's hero focus potential coming up for that Mountain King, of course, but there's the clap, ToD, and those grunts are getting low already. Heal scroll needs to be popped, and now there's no more survivability on the side of the Orc. The TC's already out of mana, and there's no mana potion available for him either.
Okay, Starbuck has no temple here, so if the fight goes wrong, he's not going to be able to get out as easily as you might think. FoCuS was out of position, gets sniped instantly. Mountain King pretty much out of mana, but so is the Torrent Chieftain, and FoCuS taps out. Starbuck with the map 1 victory after an absolute brawl on Tidehunters.
That was just amazing to watch the Mountain King in full force right there. Of course, the greater mana, I think, was amazing in the mid-game. We saw those 2 additional grunt pickoffs, which really, really helped Starbuck to keep the momentum. But FoCuS, I think he did his absolute best to come back into that game. He managed to get the expansion in the end, and it felt like he had a real fighting chance at some point. Starbuck was very focused on the hero kills, did get the FoCuS, but then the army was really dying. And I think when he realized that the TC stole the heal scroll, it was really smart to TP and just go home, regenerate, and come back across. And of course, the retrain, as I called earlier, I felt like was just so crucial. And you see how strong it is on level 3. And the TC was just nullified by the breakers. And of course, that execution at the end of FoCuS just got absolutely obliterated by Stormbolt Clap.
I would have just stayed, been like, this is so unfair, and they lost everything, and then blame balance. But not Starbuck. He TPs out, replenishes hit points, gets mana back, retrains. That retrain. Clap level 3, you know, is obviously amazing. So, great fight here at the end. That FoCuS movement, though, you know, I feel I got a couple of flashbacks from my 4v4 random team games here for a second. You know, the FoCuS often goes a little too deep and then dies. A little bit unusual. Like, it's so well because FoCuS did so many things so well, but the FoCuS placement definitely wasn't it. Yeah,
I feel like when Starbuck came across and cancelled the Beastery, and the FoCuS was just sat in front of the main, and just Starbuck could just walk and surround the hero immediately. I feel like FoCuS lost track of something. I mean, he sent the wolves across, and it felt like he didn't have much else to do. So I'm not entirely sure what happened there. But then, of course, I mean, that was a bit of a momentum killer for FoCuS there. Just losing the FoCuS at level 2 was pretty.
Maybe he thought if he goes inside the wall, the Mountain King will stand at the entrance, like our friend Ghost at the entrance of the club, and just like, nobody's coming through.
Nobody's getting through me, mate, as he would say. But yeah, no, I mean, FoCuS here, he's going to have to bring it back hard right now. Starbuck, he is so flexible as a human player, especially against Orc. He's just fantastic against that race in particular. He's able to change up strategy when he wants, and I really want to see what he does next.
All right, let's go right into the next game here. Let's do it.
Well, I don't know about you, Tom, but it was pretty entertaining there to see Starbuck hold the rifle, just like the rifles in the game that he made previously, but also the axe, like a grunt. Of course, Starbuck being a random player, I think it suited him pretty well.
We didn't have any pickaxes for him to preview the militia killing everything, so we had to settle for an axe.
All right, game 2 here between FoCuS and Starbuck, everyone. It's Autumn Leaves, which is a map that I personally quite enjoy. And this time we've got Archmage first. So
And the altar on the left side,
yes.
plus a footman already there. So perhaps a straight expo creep, which does not even necessarily mean he's going to take the expo, but should be the case. I think Starbuck really understands how to play with fast expansion. He's a beast. I mentioned it on the couch earlier.
Yeah.
He's, I think, one of the best orc against human in the world, by far. Like, he beat Chemico when Chemico was considered best human. He had amazing games recently. He beat Sok. So I think he truly understands how to play, and that's part of why he's so scary in human against orc as well. And FoCuS creeping the first camp, I think that's pretty good for Starbuck, because then he gets to do this entire camp here very easily.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge for Starbuck, actually. He's able to get the camp down really easily, and of course the pool there, making sure that he takes the least amount of damage possible. No slows going on to Starbuck's army, of course, as well. All 5 peasants are here. Of course, a few of them a little bit hurt. And FoCuS, I'm not sure he actually knows what's going on here. So he sees that there's 3 farms, there's more production coming from the town hall, and that there's no expansion here. He should definitely know at this point that there's an expo coming top left. But Starbuck, he's already moving out because FoCuS decided to take a creek camp first. And this is actually a dream position for human right now.
Yeah, the tower is going to go up very quick. The expansion is going to be set up. We saw Leon attempt the fast expansion against Hitman, and I honestly thought, you know, it was going okay. It's just like he overfought too much. I don't expect Starbuck to make the same type of mistake here, so it should be very solid from here on. Then, how does FoCuS even answer to this strategy here in terms of once he reaches tier 2? Is he going to perhaps play more Raider heavy and try to hit and run, or is he just going to be standard and trying to expo himself?
Yeah, I'm personally a big fan of double beastry from Orc, especially with the Shockwave play. But FoCuS has done a good job here, actually. He distracted Starbuck in the main base, and Starbuck wanted to exchange the low peasants with new militia, but they had to fight the wolves off because, of course, you can't make 2 arcanes and try and power build
militia's late,
the town hall. Yeah, they're a little bit late. I don't know exactly what was happening here. And Starbuck actually taking quite substantial losses. FoCuS had the resummon available and managed to get all his units on top of those peasants, even achieving level 2.
Yeah, that's not good here. When you start losing peasants in a situation like this, we see the tunnel on the expansion greatly delayed. There's only 2 peasants there right now, and that tower snipe, huge there, because you have to remake that entirely from scratch.
Yeah, one thing that has to be noted as well is that Starbuck did call over the remaining militia needed to power build the expansion, but they stay in militia form for quite a while. So the town hall isn't really going to come up the fastest. You can see that Starbuck is also preparing another farm ahead of time so he can be out of being supply blocked. And the defend upgrade is coming as well in anticipation of maybe some headhunters or to enable him to attack the orc base.
Yeah, even just harassing the P online is amazing here, and FoCuS, you know, perhaps keeping spikes, much like my 4v4 teammates.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like against human fast expansion play, or when they go for a fast level 3, there's no excuse not to get spiked.
If there's a footman on the map,
then maybe you could just get spikes anyway. I mean, it's a pretty cheap upgrade, 75 gold, 25 wood, so not too bad. But then there's no tower here still for Starbuck, and that's leaving the door wide open for FoCuS to continue the harass. You see the wolves here getting another kill.
Okay, defense just finished.
Nice.
He immediately triggers it. It's very important. The wolves putting in some work on the Archmage. Is there a deny? One time.
Easy deny there for Starbuck. Nicely done. And of course, the defend coming up perfectly on time. FoCuS came in for the attack, and we even have a Troll Berserker that was obviously pulled from the Mercenary earlier. He was incredibly strong, but against the defend movement, not so imposing.
Yeah, that was actually super smart to get defend. I think if you didn't have defend here, you'd be getting absolutely wrecked right now.
Absolutely.
So Great defense by Starbuck. Has to send Militia, but that wrecks his lumber economy more so, but he already started keep, so it's actually not the end of the world right now. Oh, and he gets to surround on the Berserker here. That's going to be a lot of experience going to the Archmage if he can finish that, if there is no deny. 2.2 to 2.5 right now for Starbuck.
The Troll Berserker gives just absolutely huge experience right now. 2.5 on that Archmage indeed, but the Farseer for FoCuS right now is also approaching 2.5. We have 2.4 at the moment, and the tier 2 buildings are coming up completely unscathed this time. So FoCuS here should have the best timings possible to come online, get those tier 2 units out, and apply some pressure, and maybe expand behind.
Yeah, because of how much pressure Starbuck has been under here, the shop is greatly delayed here. He would have loved to already have that, be able to heal, running away from those walls. Comes back with the Archmage, quite risky here. You really don't want to lose that. And ideally, you'd love to kill a couple more units and get level 3 here. He's going to get on top of those Headhunters. He's under so much pressure that he hasn't really gotten around to sending footmen across the map to counter harass. One Headhunter is going to go down. Okay, 2.6 now for the Archmage.
Yeah, this isn't too bad actually for Starbuck right now. I feel he kept the Arcane Tower up against the piercing damage of the Headhunters. One died as well, and we see the other one being chased off right now. And Starbuck
is that repair rate I always hear about on Jin, eh?
Hey, it is pretty strong, you have to admit, but then in the face of like 4 or 5 Headhunters, it's pretty worthless. So Starbuck healing up his Archmage right now. Didn't buy a Clarity, interestingly. I'm not quite too sure there. But we see that Starbuck's macro this whole time has been really impressive. I'm just watching the resources tick down constantly. He's never letting his gold get too high. I think it's that StarCraft 2 experience coming into effect right now.
Oh yeah, he was a Zerg as well.
I imagine Zerg is very macro heavy.
Yeah, very demanding, like speed-wise and in terms of macro as well.
Well, there we have it. Starbuck there showing both his strength in micro mechanics, especially the first game, getting those surrounds into this game. His macro has pretty much been impeccable. Tier 2 finishing as well for the human momentarily. We do have a blacksmith as well. Maybe some rifles will be added. And FoCuS going for a pretty standard army for nowadays. We have the Raiders already equipped with Ensnare, and the first Shaman coming out, and the counter expansion, of course, and the Stomp once again being selected.
I wonder if he might do an Invis potion to send the Archmage to cancel the Expo, because he knows he's there, so that might be a good play to do here. Unless he really thinks he needs the Archmage back at home to defend against the upcoming attack. No tower in the main base. Yes. So that actually would be really weak if he got attacked here in a second.
Yeah, Starbuck playing pretty greedy, I would say, at the moment. He could also purchase both the Invis Potion and the Staff of Teleportation, just to ensure that he could go across, cancel, and staff home. But Starbuck here kind of running into the Orc a little bit, and there's some potential threat here for the Archmage to be in danger, but he manages to just walk out pretty much unscathed. But the Wolves will chase down and continue to put chip damage there.
He was threatening a counter surround for a second, which FoCuS didn't seem too worried about. That Farseer is very low on mana. You mentioned the Clarity, like he definitely needs to get one of those, like for the fights.
Yeah, the Farseer feels like he's definitely been blowing through his spells quite a lot. Wow, Starbuck here, he's still finding a timing here to try and cancel the Great Hall.
I don't know if he can get that.
I don't know, he has a heal scroll on his side. There comes the Purge, but there's not a second Purge. It might even be worth to try and heal scroll the Elemental here. Juke. He does heal scroll the Elemental.
Oh my god, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it.
It's getting insanely close. The Farseer doesn't have any spells available. There is a Stomp available. Oh no, the Archmage goes down.
I think defend wasn't enabled, so those editors were doing a ton of damage on the footies as well, and Starbuck, instant revives, Raiders are not too far. FoCuS is on the chase, who's hunting who now?
Yeah, the tables have surely turned here right now. That was an absolutely clutch moment. Starbuck there investing so much into this expansion cancel. The heal scroll, of course, the Archmage died, that's a Tavern revive.
He tried to go around and he got spotted. Not on my watch.
Not on my watch, says FoCuS, yeah. With just the Shamans, actually, interestingly enough, was enough to deter Starbuck there, of course.
Yeah, this
too risky to head out.
This guy's gonna deny him. This ain't a ayahuasca trip.
And FoCuS, this is such a different game right now. He has the expansion actually mining. We have attack upgrades coming for the Grunts, which of course are amazing against the Breakers. We have Kodos coming as well. And I like the extra Peon as well, just to ensure that FoCuS can pump upgrades, maybe get a tower, second shop, a burrow at the expansion as well. It's pretty wood demanding for Orc in general. I think we don't even have reinforced available yet. So FoCuS needs to work on that lumber economy as soon as possible.
It's like the saddest harassment. He has to use a bolt and attack multiple times to kill one single peon. If he can get away, it still would be okay, but looks like it's going to be a town pool of forced here. FoCuS with all the map control in the world now. Raiders, Shamans. He can make sure he catches and punishes Starbuck if he's anywhere near him. Big hero level advantage now. And he's way ahead in supply, despite the expansion being up for so long for Starbuck.
Yeah, Starbuck, he invested so much gold into consumables. You know, he's bought, I think, 2 TPs now. We had the Archmage Revive, of course, as well from the Tavern. The Heal Scroll being invested earlier, units that were picked off. And FoCuS, he hasn't really lost a lot for the past while. And with the expansion established, this is a very, very solid game for him. Also, Book of the Dead may be quite frustrating. It could be sent into the worker line. Or I'd like to see FoCuS pass it over to the Farseer, but it seems that he's coming with the full army anyway. This could be some huge damage on some peasants. Your favorite sound, ToD, might be incoming.
The peasant sound. Pillage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pillage is always nice to have here when you have a bunch of raiders. You're always going to get, like, it's going to become worth very quickly. A bit surprised at the lack of towers, but I guess the whole game has been a difficult one for Starbuck. He didn't really have the economy to get many towers easily. He's actually trapped in there. I guess he could come out through the left side. Lightning Shield used on one of the rifles. FoCuS really committing to this attack. I guess he's not taking that much damage. The army of Starbuck is very minimal here.
Yeah, I feel like if I was FoCuS right now, I would be happy that I forced the human back and the Mountain King stopped creeping. And at this point, you could just move on out and take another creep camp, or move your way over to Starbuck's main base as well and keep up the base pressure, because as you pointed out, there's very little base defense on Starbuck's side.
On FoCuS' side too, apparently doesn't have reinforced defense either. But
yeah.
I think with all the map control he's got, he's fine.
Yeah, the defenses are paper thin, but as you say, FoCuS, I don't think he really needs it. The pressure is too high on Starbuck's side, and also FoCuS decides to retrain into Shockwave, and this may be a potential huge Shockwave. Oh my god, it hits almost everything, ToD.
Yeah, this is looking really bad right now for Starbuck. He needs a clutch hold. To have a chance here, he needs a clutch hold. Militia is going to come in from behind. That's always very helpful. It was only 1 at first, goes up to 4.
Yeah,
but he had a Scroll of the Beast, which is coming in handy for whatever units he has other than the breakers. Big clap landing actually on top of everything. Militia is helping tremendously. Can he get the hold?
Wait, Starbuck is actually picking off a ton of units here. There are a few Roared Riflemen at the back as well, putting in lots of DPS with the Torrent Chieftain here. He levels up to level 4. Another big Shockwave going into the back of Starbuck's army. But Starbuck can kind of shrug off that damage, honestly. It didn't do too much. And FoCuS just blew through 2 heal scrolls as well against a level 1 clap. It's not often that you see that many resources be expended. And Starbuck here, though, it does feel like he's losing quite a lot of units now. And there's also Kodo's digested, surely.
Yeah, that Shockwave is terrible, by the way. He hit 1 priest. Would have been way better to at least hit the Mountain King, which is on the threat right now. No survivability item, no escape for Starbuck, no Temple or Invuln. And FoCuS still on the warpath here, going very deep where the Arcane Tower can shoot.
Yeah, the Arcane Tower here is working wonders here to get rid of the level 2 wolves from FoCuS. And it does feel like FoCuS maybe is pushing his luck too much. I mean, 2 heal scrolls is very expensive to repurchase again, especially once you're in low upkeep. You know, 14 gold per second is pretty good, but it's expensive to buy 250 gold items, that's for sure.
You know
the
what?
level 2 clap is always going to work right now.
You know what we never see here that I think would be amazing is Backpack. He could just keep bringing over like double clarity to his heroes all the time.
Yeah, or even buy them from the Goblin Merchant in the corner there potentially as well. Then we have another engagement. The Farseer actually goes for the level 3 wolves, interestingly enough, despite the level 3 channeling being really strong. Kodo is kind of blocked in the back, and Starbuck gets the breaker back in return. There's another breaker being digested on the right here as well. This is a pretty messy fight once again, of course. Units being killed on all sides. The peasants here doing what they do best and dying. And Starbuck here is plummeting down in supply. The Mountain King is in danger. There's no survivability items, and Starbuck has to call GG.
We've got a series on our hands, guys. FoCuS hasn't said his last word here. And great adaptation to the expand here. He found some damage. He got the cancel on the tower. Maybe the SimCity was a little wrong where the tower was too easily accessible. And yeah, those peasants, you mentioned them. 2 of them were like kind of low. Sometimes it feels a little bit random. I mean, obviously, if you creep always cleanly, like it's a skill that you can have, but sometimes it does feel like, you know, those creeps, they will behave slightly differently and you can take a little bit more damage than usual, and that's where the snowball can start for the opponent. If you have 2 peasants below 50% HP and you know he's going to show up and start killing them. So maybe that was the misplay, like the creeping wasn't as clean as it should have been on the Expo.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch the replay directly, but I felt like maybe the first Elemental wasn't summoned early enough so that the second one would come up and start tanking the camp as soon as possible. It felt like the army had to tank, and then the second Elemental would come up, and you know the camp was finished relatively cleanly, but then those 2 workers got killed easily. and then the militia that came to reinforce got distracted in the main base, and then the rest of the militia that came were still in militia forms, and Expo wasn't quite as clean as it could have been. Even though Starbuck did get a pretty good tech, it felt like in the end just not getting that cancel that he invested so much to do was crucial.
Because if he gets the tower up, like we're looking at a very different game, then the defense becomes so much easier. Even Salvage did pretty well, I think, with the defense, which obviously delayed his tech because he had to get that beforehand. But yeah, it's all about those mistakes adding up. That's why Happy is the best player, because how many of those mistakes does he really make in his games?
Yeah, like
almost none.
Yeah, like one maximum per series, it feels like, that's for sure.
He made the double graveyard against Blast, though. That's actually unacceptable. But let's go into map number 3 here between Starbuck and FoCuS to conclude it.
All right, everyone, we have the deciding match here between Starbuck and FoCuS. It's game number 3 on Northern Isles, one of my personal favorite maps. And Starbuck again with the altar on the right-hand side, most likely suggesting that it would be a safer creep right or maybe an early expansion as well. So no Tuskar camp, I would imagine. And FoCuS, I would expect to see a similar build. You know, Warmill is coming out already. Grunt, maybe one Grunt will come online soon as well. That will be handy for FoCuS to creep and apply some pressure. And it is indeed the Archmage once again, so no Mountain King this time.
It's very common to go one Grunt here, makes it way easier to creep with, very high damage. And also, like, for human, if you see straight Headhunter, you know there's going to be a ton of Headhunters. You just kind of get defend, and you do really well against that. Of course, Orc can go back into Grunts, but it's going to be trickier. So I like the Grunt into Headhunter opener here. Very solid by FoCuS. And I expect he's probably going to do one camp. There's this creep out on this map that's really good for Orc, where you do the Murloc camp with the consumable. With your Farseer, you pick up the item, then you ride across the map, and then you do the other camp with the rest of your units and your wolves. Yeah.
Gives you level 2, and of course the Farseer doesn't need to be present for that second camp, so you can get right on top of the human, whether they're deciding to creep an expansion at that point, or they're just at their own big Murloc consumable if they start with the easier creeps and play one base. And that Chain Lightning is super effective in stealing creep camps. I mean, you have no real counterplay against Chain Lightning aside from trying to dance around the last side, which is pretty tricky to do.
And FoCuS, because he faced an expansion last game, he's kind of thinking there might be the same thing this time around. So he runs straight across the map instead of creeping. So Starbuck is going to be able to open with a safe camp first, and it feels like it's somewhat to his advantage, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I like the opening so far from Starbuck. It's all the 2s. He built 2 farms and started his tech at 222.
Yeah.
Feels like it was down to the absolute second there. And I like the power build as well coming onto the Scout Tower. We do need a little bit more lumber to start the Arcane. And this is the hard part here. Okay, Starbuck is coming back to defend. If he didn't choose to defend here, I think it would be pretty risky, but I love that in the meantime, he will secure his own level 2 and is trying his best to mitigate the harasser that FoCuS is putting on, because this pressure is costing the human a lot of wood right now.
Yeah, he's going to lose a ton of lumber because of having to use militia and not mining for that very long, but with this build, I think when you open two farm tech like this, it is on this map very often to go into a lumber mill and then double Sanctum, with sometimes a Beastmaster second, sometimes something else.
Yeah, I feel like Northern Isles is one of those maps for human where you can actually play any of the main strategies, right? You can go for one base fast tech rifles, you can go for the expansion, you can go for the fast level 3 and play something like a Beastmaster into tier 2 expansion. That's one of the reasons why I like this map so much as human. There are a lot of options. But Orc, of course, usually with that solid creep right, but FoCuS here is playing super aggressive and just wants to limit the amount of lumber that Starbuck has to try and delay the Mountain King or the Arcane Sanctum, or force Starbuck to just make the decision between which thing do I want to get first and what am I going to have to delay.
He's going Blacksmith. Yeah, this is going to be a rifle build from Starbuck. Sometimes when Starbuck played this build in the past, he did get defend with it, which is really weird, right? Because usually you think rifle, it's like, okay, well, you'll just get a couple of footmen, skip defend, and then go straight into rifles. But no, you can't go 5 footmen defend into rifle, but here his number is so wrecked that I don't think that he could do that. It's going to be very tricky.
It feels like Starbuck here is pretty limited in his options. I think as soon as he gets to tier 2, it's going to be the MK. And at that point, he has to save up a ton in order to get a Sanctum going. And then you have rifles, of course, that you need to make, and long rifles, +1 attack. You need all of those things to come online in good time in order to have a successful mid-game here.
This isn't 4v4. You can't pull a shocker and ask for 100 gold, 100 lumber, you know?
That's the classic, man, asking for resources every single game.
Can't get bailed out every time. But yeah, he needs to make peasants immediately, and we see peasants in production here. He needs to make, I think he lost, what, 3? He needs to make a whole bunch, at least those 3 that he lost.
Yeah, there's only 6 currently, so that means that 3 were lost, as usually you have 8 with this opener. But Starbuck, he can only reproduce another one, and now the farm, of course, had to be built as soon as possible. And FoCuS, you know, he's just taking his time here to get some big camps off of the map. Starbuck not getting the most amount of camps. I do like the replenishment potion drops on both sides as well. It's pretty nice, pretty even, one could say. But FoCuS here, stealing away the Parrot of Vitality. Not an insane item, but decent nevertheless for the Tauren Chieftain.
Yeah, thieving around here, stealing the item from the expansion of Starbuck, that's a pretty big deal because often the opponent will not realize that this happened. He will go there hoping that he's able to get that for himself, and then only once you get there do you realize it's not there, but that's already too late, you're already there. So then you have to do the camp, and you're missing the main thing from it, which is the item.
Yeah, I could see something actually is yellow in the bottom corner there, so Starbuck is aware that the item is gone, and hopefully the Mountain King progresses on towards the Tuskar or plays super aggressive against the Tauren Chieftain. But I feel like that's going to be a tall order because Starbuck here doesn't have many units left. You know, the Sanctum is pretty late now. Rifle production has been slow as a result of all the economy harass. And it feels like FoCuS really knew what to do at the start of this game. You know, he went across straight away, and Starbuck decided to skip the tower, which was maybe a bit too greedy.
All right, what do we go for? Do we go for the items in the center? Very common on this map to try and get that. Does he want to bolt either of these walls? Nope. Wants to save all the mana that he can. And FoCuS has pretty much every camp that he wants to go for on this side of the map. The Tusker is still there, the expansion item is still there. Starbuck looks like he wants to grab the item here from the marketplace. You want to trigger Frost Armor on something else, or you can bolt the Troll Priest that casts Frost Armor to make sure it doesn't go on the one creep that you want to be able to snipe here.
Yeah, precisely. You can afford to take the piercing damage of the big troll anyway onto the Mountain King. The Starbuck actually choosing to clean up the entire camp, which I guess he kind of needs to do, right? Because the levels are going to be severely lacking behind for that Mountain King. You do not want to take an engagement with the TC is level 3 and the MK is not.
And he gets one of the wins.
Superb item.
Yeah, is there no lodge?
As far as I could see,
yeah, there's no shaman, so I think no lodge. So that means no dispel, no purge. Against the one of the wind, that TC is going to be flying.
Yeah, the cow's going to be flying to Kansas, I'm afraid. I'm not sure why FoCuS didn't actually go for another tier 2 building. It feels like his resources are in good order. We could have seen walkers or shaman.
I think because it's rifles, maybe. So he was like, I don't need necessarily shamans.
Yeah, perhaps, but then it feels like, well, you have no counter against elementals. They're quite strong on level 2, but Starbuck did decide to actually go for the level 2 brilliance this time.
And it's Shockwave being used here on top of all those units, but Militia is always so strong in those fights. As long as you're on your half of the map, Militia can always come in and be very scary in those fights. We see Long Rifles about to finish as well. Starbuck is on the chase. He still has a bunch of mana to work with. He went bash, goes for the Cyclone on Tauren Chieftain, even though he wasn't really threatening the Storm just yet.
Yeah, and here we go. So I think a potential second Cyclone has to come out on that TC before the next Shockwave. It's Starbuck here. He's doing a good job picking up units. Very strange pick indeed. Perhaps because of the level 3 suddenly being triggered. He's scared of that level 2 Chain Lightning. Oh, it might be coming out and maybe we'll see some more kills. But actually Starbuck here not losing too much on the way out. But it still feels like his momentum has been stopped. Starbuck being forced back to his own side. And FoCuS, he bought some time for his expansion.
Yeah, the thing about those fights is that it's way easier for a human to replenish mana because you have Brilliance, and it's Brilliance 2 in this case, whereas Orc has to go all the way back home, use Clarities. So it's always something you have to keep in mind, like when you TP out, like you can re-engage after. Greater mana dropped on the Mountain King. The TC picks up a Belt of Giant Strength here, which is always nice. And Starbuck's gonna wanna look to secure the entire lab here. Those FoCuS go and look for the engagement. Again, I repeat myself, it's kind of low on mana, because they were just fighting.
Yeah, they were just brawling, and of course, Starbuck here with the greater mana. This might be close, though. We see the Shockwave coming out as well. Pretty good damage in the meantime. A Grunt being traded out for the Priest. Starbuck does secure the creep. It's a Circle of Nobility, but the hero is pretty low. That Mountain King is under threat of being killed. And it feels like the rifles are pretty low, but the Farseer does have... Oh, there was a heal scroll being popped there just to keep him alive.
The MK,
the Mountain King. Wait, the snare lands from miles away, but the counter focus on the Farseer, and the Farseer isn't able to trigger the info pulsion in time or TP out, and he goes down as well.
Archmage being targeted, he has no time for all. This might be the end. He can't escape. There's nothing he can do to get out of there. Both heroes in the altar now. +1 wasn't even finished. Starbuck has to restart those from the altar. There's nothing in center to instant revive.
Starbuck
and that's
was
it.
fighting as hard as he could, and there we go. FoCuS able to bring it back 2-1 and a very strong performance on Northern Ireland.